The C is for consistent, man. We're back here on another Thursday. I got Parlay Pete with me, but before I bring him into the fold, let's talk about all in good faith. Sometimes we expect things in good faith, but you can't put good faith in bad actors. Brian Flores' firing and his subsequent lawsuit after sham interviews have kind of, showed us that the NFL hiring cycle is what it is. He's finally given us the opportunity to take the band-aid off and look at what we know it truly exists, acknowledge it, and he's given people the opportunity to take action and correct those actions. Now, the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule was implemented in order to give more minorities the opportunity to interview for jobs in the NFL, head coaching jobs and front office jobs. And the Rooney Rule works when there's good faith that the coach, that the GM candidate gets the opportunity to actually be heard, and the decision isn't already made before the interview even starts. Again, good faith. Players, coaches, owners kneeled with Colin Kaepernick. Not initially, but eventually they kneel with Colin Kaepernick. But who cares if you're not kneeling in good faith? We donated money. We put slogans on the helmets. We put slogans on the field. But who cares if this doesn't happen in good faith? Oh, we got a black coach here, a black GM there. But who really gives a damn if they're not there in good faith? If they're just there to make a quota, to get the pressure off of our back so then we can put the person we want in place, it doesn't matter. Or if we want to prove that they can't be successful because we don't give them the opportunity to succeed, it means nothing because it wasn't done in good faith. Hell, look at Miami. Black coach. Black GM. But it looks like the owner was trying to buy losses. Literally pay his coach to lose games. Is that employing them in good faith? Doesn't seem like it. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. The draft. We reward the worst teams by giving them high-end draft picks because the thought is that they're going to play as hard as they can and they can't lose. So we reward them with a top pick, and that's done in good faith. But we got to take a serious look at this because you can't expect good faith from bad actors. And as much as I love football, as much as I love the NFL, we have to admit that the NFL is ran by a lot of bad actors. Yes, they make a lot of black people rich, a lot of poor people rich. They do things, but understand that this is done to benefit them because they make money off of these teams year in and year out. But think about the owner. For most of these owners, the football team is a novelty investment. It's a showcase like, hey, man, look at all these niggas I own. Look what they do for me. I give them a little bit of cheese and they dance until they can't dance no more. And guess what? We take better care of the commissioner after he leaves the NFL than we do the players who go out here and they bust their ass and play for us. But they're rich. They're powerful. And as long as they're turning a profit, at the end of the day, they're good. Then you have the players and the coaches. This is their livelihood. Yes, they're getting compensated for it, but their key to the next paycheck is their performance on the field or their players' performance on the field. So if they don't execute properly, they don't get paid next year, or they don't finish out that contract, or they don't get a favorable contract the next time they go to the negotiating table. We see it all the time, especially with running backs. You run them into the dirt on their rookie contracts, then you pay them cracker crumbs for their next contract, and they're getting league minimum for the next 5 years of their career. The fan. For us, man, it's entertainment. Oh, man, he shouldn't hold out. He should go play. You don't know what he's going through. Oh, the game has gotten soft now. It's flag football. No, you're not the one out there getting beat up. You're not the one that's dealing with the concussions. You're not the one that's dealing with the lifelong injuries that can affect you, your ability to play with your kids, your ability to remember stuff, to be a high functioning human being. CTE is real. And every player takes a calculated chance when they decide to play the game at the highest level. But just because these risks exist doesn't mean we don't mitigate them. If you're in a plane and there's a storm, usually the pilot will go over it or around it. Not like, whoa, back in the day, we used to fly straight through the storm. Yeah, because we didn't know any better. But now that we know better, we should do better. If your doctor's using an outdated procedure, at some point it's going to change because, we can attack this surgery better. I like Cam Akers coming back from a torn Achilles 5 months later. That used to be a career ender, and he's back 5 months later and almost had 100 yards back in his 100 yards rushing in his first game back. But then the gambler, you got the gambler. And it's important to talk about the gambler here because if you talk about a coach trying to fix games and buy losses or incentivize his coach to lose financially, that hurts the gambler. And the gambler is a combination of all three. The gambler is the fan, the gambler is the player, and the gambler is the owner, because guess what? The gambler is living off of this. This gambler's making money. Some do it for fun. Some do it for real. Some do it for entertainment because they enjoy watching the game and it's like, hey, let's put some extra money on here. And some gamblers who are true professionals are so invested into gambling properly, setting lines, knowing lines, man, it's a whole ecosystem out here. It's a whole economy out here on gambling. And the gamblers have some ownership in this. They have some buy-in in this, and they are also entertained by it. So if not protecting the fans, if not protecting the players, you got to protect a whole nother economy too, man. Come on now. But I got a solution. I have a solution. And I think owning a football team is a privilege. It's not your right. It's not your right to own this football team. And just like the players have to compete, the coaches have to compete, the executives have to compete to keep their jobs, I think the owners should have to compete. I think the owners should have to show a certain level of competence, a certain level of performance in order to maintain ownership of their teams. Now, will the owners agree to this? Hell no, because it's their team. But if you really want to clean up the league, if you really want the owners to be more inclusive and sincerely inclusive, you got to get rid of the bad apples, because the bad apples will spoil the bunch. But guess what? When you can't get the bad apples out because they're all the way at the bottom and you're not strong enough to pick the good apples off the top, your bunch dies. And for the draft, for the teams who are tanking, who are buying L's, here's my thing for you. Instead of the draft order going from best record to worst record, of the non-playoff teams, we go from best record gets the best pick, and the worst record gets the worst pick of those non-playoff teams. And I bet you'll see less tanking. I bet you'll see less teams giving up, benching starters, keeping people on the injury reserve, keeping them out of games when they could play. Because guess what? You're incentivized to get into the playoffs because you're trying to win a championship. And if you're not getting to the playoffs, you're no longer incentivized to lose games. You're incentivized to win games. And, but at the end of the day, as long as we have these bad actors and this bad faith, ain't shit gonna change. Well, let me bring in Parlay Pete, man. Parlay Pete, man, what's up?
That's a beautiful intro.
Thanks, man. I wrote it at work today.
It really was. It was a beautiful intro. And more importantly, when you say the gambler, you're talking about me. Because I'm somebody that, I looked at, obviously, the integrity of the game. The integrity of everything is kind of how our society is based, is it not? We need integrity. Office, whatever it is, we need integrity. Every thing needs some sort of integrity, because that's what a lot of things are built on. It's built on, is this legitimate? most people don't want to be duped. They don't want to be faked. Pump fake. Nobody wants that. No, nobody wants that unless you're going trying to get to the free throw line like James Harden or something. Nobody wants a pump fake. He does. I don't. I don't want anyone to pump fake on me in terms of who they are as a person. And so, beautiful intro. I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. And it's so funny. What was it? Tuesday. Today's Thursday. So Tuesday we go through this whole like pre-show prep thing that we're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after we get off the phone, because it came out Tuesday night.
Breaking news.
Brian Flores is suing the NFL. So Brian Flores is suing the NFL and specifically some teams. He felt like he was wrongfully fired because he wouldn't toe the company line, and he's a man of principle. And then he felt like he was on some interviews just because they wanted to meet the Rooney Rule requirement, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And so he just said, fuck it, I'm going to be a martyr because y'all just treat me like I'm still a nigga. And I'm just going to be like my man's Cap and go out here and try to just, expose the whole system for what it is. And he pretty much said, I'm rich. I'm good. I'll survive out here. So what are your thoughts?
Right, get a college job.
He can give him a college job. I mean, I think Bill will hire him back.
Colleges won't go, like, they're not going to care that he did this. Not a college. College wants to win football games, too.
Yeah, and he can always go to a HBCU. I mean, who are they to say, hey, sorry, nigga, you too radical for us?
Anything. You know how in Remember the Titans, they were like, you are coach. You are coach. When this nigga Boone stepped outside, they're like, you're our coach. And so, something like that can happen as well. Like for him, I'm saying that's the way that they would kind of treat it. I have got a hand of cards. I'm sorry that I'm like looking down. We're about to.
This is what happens when you do a show.
No. I promise. This is my last hand because we're on air, obviously.
Oh no, you're good. I'm time filling right now. I'm just gonna talk about you and your.
I'm in the middle of it. It's hey guys, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the gamblers. That's why, like I said, it means a lot. The integrity of it, even for me. If I'm playing cards right now, these people are in Costa Rica. They could just take my money and leave. But that's what this is about. It's integrity. I have integrity with Bovada, the people that I bet through. They've never screwed me.
Kyle Gessel.
Now we got a phone call.
Oh yeah, man. I should start telling people, hey, I record around 6 o'clock on Thursdays.
I don't even know what you're recording because I know obviously we're not the only show. Like we don't, you've got multiple shows. Obviously you have your own. We've got ours that we've been doing, and then along with anyone else. I know you do interviews and do single podcasts or whatever. And so, you should let people know what the schedule's like.
I'm trying to finalize the schedule because I'm all over the place with it. I'm trying to get a solid Monday and Thursday, and then the other days are going to be like my wing it days, kind of like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan just puts out podcasts when he feels like it.
He's somebody that's in hot water right now himself.
Yeah, I know.
Artists are getting off Spotify because
leave.
I guess they don't fuck with his vaccine.
Well, fuck it, leave. If you don't like every employee at your company,
Spotify is like,
leave.
Hey, India Irie, take your shit off them.
Yeah, like who cares?
I'm not trying to be funny. You're not Drake.
Yeah.
Drake has 50 million monthly listeners. You're not Kanye. Like Kanye's not saying this. Jay-Z has his own streaming service and didn't have his shit on ours for a long time. Then he added it. He's not doing it. So we care about those guys. The people that really get the streams. I don't know what NDRE's numbers were like, but
and who cares? At the end of the day, man, if you don't have to be aligned with every employee of a company that you work with, right? And because Spotify pays them, I know they don't technically work for Spotify, but nonetheless, Spotify is a medium in which India Irie generates money. I don't know how much she generates from Spotify because they don't give a lot of money to the artists for their streams. But nonetheless, who cares, bruh? If Joe Rogan, all right, yeah, he has vac stuff that you don't like. Well, a lot of stuff isn't just out of his mouth. He has professionals who are more qualified than us
and
to even comment on this stuff. And he puts them on the show. He gives them a platform. And let's put out the Joe Rogan N-word compilation. I mean, we talked about it earlier this morning. I think it's extremely distasteful. I think it's disgusting that he uses the N-word and the way that he uses it. But he also has relationships with black people who don't really fuck with that white boy tap dance and shit, a la Dave Chappelle. And I get that just because you have black friends, it doesn't give you a pass for using the N-word. And I just think Joe Rogan is a famous, rich, entitled son of a bitch who's so good at what he does, he can do whatever he wants because there's no real ramifications for his actions because people are still going to consume him.
That's exactly where we're at with it, and that's exactly why a person like Brian Flores is in this position because he feels like there's so many people in that type of position, and he feels like that's exactly why he is in the position that he's in because it's somebody that's got all this power and they're sitting here, they can really kind of do what they want. You know, that's why he brings in John Elway. John Elway is not even the owner of the Broncos, but he's in charge of running football there. He's an all-time great quarterback. We know that. He's won Super Bowls. We know who John Elway is. And this man said that he was an hour late. Most people can't get away with being an hour late in any type of meeting, but certainly when you're on that side of the spectrum, it makes things a lot harder for you as an interviewee, like, you know, a potential employee. It's going to make that stuff harder. And I think that the position that B. Flores was in was one of those things where I think that this had been going on. We know this has been going on because I'm going to assume that he's not lying. Right. Same thing with anyone that accuses somebody of rape or something like that. We always are going to side with the victim. Right. And women lie about that. Men, I guess men can get raped as well. And some of them lie about it too. Like you can lie about that. It's hard to believe when you're in $1 million business that you're lying about the practices of this company, this private firm that everybody consumes. I mean, the Super Bowl, I told my dad this just the other day, you know, that's why I'm probably out in Vegas again for the Super Bowl this year. It's the largest betting day ever. The most money is moved around on that day for that sport. And it's the most watched thing on TV every year. Right. And so there's a lot of money at stake here. And a guy like B. Flores, he got fired. Probably not. He probably shouldn't have been fired. Like, it'd be one thing if they had got Sean Payton or something, like they really got like somebody that they consider elite or something. They don't even have their coach yet. Maybe Jim Harbaugh will be it because Stephen Ross is a alum, and they were like, yeah, he doesn't want to take him from there. But once he said that he would talk to even Minnesota, they're like, basically the Dolphins will manage.
As they should.
Yeah, and maybe they will give him the job. I think that would be a good job for him to take. But we're not getting into that. I'm getting into the fact that Brian Flores isn't wrong for what he's doing, but he's fucking himself up. He's fucking himself in the ass. He is.
He's a man of principle, though. So his principles, and we talked about it with AB. The principles are bigger than what the NFL offers, and if you're gonna live and die on your principles, I'm not gonna judge you for it, but most people won't.
Yeah, he's gonna have to die on that. You know, you live by the three, you die by the three.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you can't be surprised by nothing. Like it's more so of you're suing everybody that could potentially be your employer ever.
And you're scaring off the ones who don't know you because they go, oh, if some shit happens, this man might sue.
You're extra as fuck.
And you're over here fucking over my friend. We're golf buddies. What's gonna come out if they do when they do this investigation, which the NFL did they did confirm that they're going to investigate his claims, which, I mean, what does the NFL investigation mean? It's shit to me. And you think about it. He's suing the league, and he has great lawyers, but he doesn't have NFL money.
Like no, absolutely not.
So you know the NFL is going to string this out in court, and
they got the money to fight it, and
right.
And it'll get. They know the lawyers too. I mean, they know his lawyers. They know the judge, they are the system. Like you're literally suing the government almost. Like you're suing the system.
They're stronger than politicians. They have more power and influence than
Let me
politicians.
say, they're fans of the NFL. Those guys have favorite teams too, or women. They have favorite teams as well. Stuff that, it's deeper than a lot of people don't realize how deep sports goes. And that's why you have all this gambling. Like, that's why you have somebody like myself. People ask me all the time, why are you Falcons fan? Like, what makes you a fan? Outside of, oh, okay, so you're from here or whatever. I have a connection to that team. Mm-hmm. And it's different players all the time. That's why I don't have a favorite NFL player. Like, I have a connection to that team. My mom, obviously, may she rest in peace. I lost my mom, obviously, and she was a big Falcons fan. I look at my earliest memories of going to games with my mom. Most people don't have that. Most people it's with their dad or something. I had it with my mom. And so
same, me too.
That type of stuff is what makes, this stuff, it's more than just, it's more than chains, yards.
Yeah, because you grow a connection to this team. You have these memories that go back to this team. You have good times, bad times. They make you feel.
But exactly. They make you feel, and you always will, the good and the bad. I'm thick and thin. I'm with the Falcons. Like, the Super Bowl bad.
Yeah, so
it is a moment like that. But it doesn't. I've been there for 4 and 12.
Yeah, so
it never changed how I feel, though.
So getting back to Brian Flores a little bit, right? The situation is so, it's so layered, right? Because the piece of the story that's really taking the headlines, which doesn't shock me, knew it was gonna happen. Some type of way your mainstream white media was gonna find a way to wiggle out of the uncomfortable race conversation and go into the tanking or buying L's conversation, right? Because
now you got a second black coach who's
validating it.
Yeah, he's saying I have receipts too. Like,
and apparently somebody, an anonymous witness, came forward and said they can corroborate Brian Flores' story. I'm sure that person is still in the league and still wants to maintain employment. So we'll see where that goes. But again, this has kind of hijacked the entire Brian Flores story.
You're doing it before the Super Bowl too,
in the short term, which I think Brian Flores did that on purpose. And I'll talk about somebody else who tried to hijack headlines on purpose later in the show. And I get it. You look at what Stephen Ross did. He really wanted Tua, so he wanted them to lose games to get Tua. And he said he would offer 1,000, 100,000. Yeah, tank for Tua. He would offer.
In the process, even too, like I know we talked about that. The process with Philly with Embiid and them, it was received for Embiid. That's what they call it.
Right. And look at this though. So he's going to offer him $100,000 for every loss, and he allegedly didn't accept it. Don't have receipts for that. Got it. Cool. And for one, you end up getting to him. And then the story comes out a little while ago. We were willing to trade all 3 of our first round picks for the first to get Joe Burrow. Okay, yeah, I bet. Because again, I'm pretty sure
we wanted a quarterback, though.
Right.
I mean, we know this just because even with the Watsons, like the Dolphins were like the team that they're like, oh yeah, he's going there. Like,
and think about this though. The quarterback, Justin Herbert, who y'all crowned as the best quarterback of that draft class, conversation for maybe later today or another day. He was still there when you took Tua, but if the owner was willing to do all of this in order to get Tua, it seems like it kind of validates those rumors that Brian Flores wanted Herbert and he was forced to get Tua. But then you juxtapose that to Hugh Jackson, who got hired, and apparently they changed the 4-year plan on him once he got the job. Now, it's harder to accept Hugh's story for a lot of people because Hugh won one fucking game in 2 years as the head coach of the of the
And
Cleveland Browns.
They didn't win one game one of those seasons.
Right. He went 1-15 and 0-16. And when he got fired, they were doing okay, but the team got better once he left. Now, mind you, a lot of that was outside of Hugh's control because I don't think Hugh wanted. From what I heard, Hugh wanted Deshaun Watson, and he got told no.
He'll take the job.
And he didn't hire Todd Haley to be his OC, which makes sense. Why would you bring in a big personality offensive coordinator who doesn't run the same system that you do, who's also been a head coach to be your OC?
But you want to know what, too? Even in that position, this is what I wanted, then quit and literally cite it. And like how now we're talking about this. If you do it then, don't you think it has a little bit more merit?
It does.
Your job if you said, I wanted Deshaun Watson. I didn't want Baker.
It does.
Like, it directly went against exactly what I said. I'm going to get fired anyways because if I don't think that he's as good as he is, and it proves to be that way to begin with, if you do it then, I think that not only do you have a better case, but everybody can look at it and be like, this is talking. Like, he's spitting. Like
he is, but if you look at Hugh's tweets, it leads you to believe that he accepted his checks for losing. And
Hugh's a martyr.
He is, and but
for black coach, I mean, look, the Bengals hired, and people can look at it this way too. Like, and it just depends on how you want to look at stuff. But like, Marvin Lewis was there for like 17, 16 years. He's black. He's a person of color, at least. I don't know I guess Marvin's black.
Yeah, he's black.
Black, yeah. Like, but I'm saying I don't know why he looks like he has like a Middle Eastern parent too, but nonetheless, or Arabic, whatever. But Marvin's black. They didn't win a playoff game. Then you Grant Hugh, that's Cleveland versus Cincinnati. But my point is, then they hire this white guy. He loses his first 2 years. He goes 2-14, 4-12. Now he's coaching in the Super Bowl. And so some white person, and yes, I'm talking to you, white person, can look at that and be like, well, maybe he's just a fucking better coach. No, niggas aren't getting the same shake. And that's kind of really what Brian Flores was doing this for. He's bringing it out and saying, I bet money that the Allen family in fucking Cincinnati, or Brown family, Paul Brown, they're not telling Zach, hey, man, lose games and we'll give you $100K. But he's saying it. Flores is saying it. And with these guys, the thought would be they're so rich, what difference does it really make? Right? And you would think that. And I'm of belief that I don't know if what they're saying is true at all. But at the same time, they're so rich and they're so powerful to the point where nobody can put this past these people.
Hey, man, it's just like buying ass. When you broke, buying ass is like a foreign concept. You're like, oh my God, I would never pay for some sex. If you are a billionaire
and you want something,
and you
know that this is what typically gets it done,
why would I talk to you for all this time when I can just spend money on this?
Right. Hey, bitch, excuse me to the lady listeners, but hey, bitch, like, I got this cash. We're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to go to wherever. I'm going to pay you. We're going to have a great time. Like, I promise you'll have fun. You're going to make money. But you got to bounce on the stick. That's essentially kind of how that works in a weird way. Some of them, some people will do it for free. Or if they're gay, let's just say they want a guy. That way we're inclusive here.
I'd be inclusive. Absolutely. We're an inclusive podcast.
Program. Let's say a woman's asking a man. I mean, it doesn't matter what angle you come at.
No.
I just don't want to put a he or she title on this. But I know pronouns are very important. I used to think that verb was the most important thing because it's what you do.
No, that's what you are.
One, then Nickelodeon used to have the verb campaign, and they literally said, it's what you do.
Verb is what you do.
It's a very easy way to know what a verb is if you didn't pay attention in English class. I did.
Well, the people at Nickelodeon are much smarter than most of our teachers.
They got some pedophiles there, too. They got a lot of shit going wrong there. But point being,
all funny stuff, by the way.
You said what?
I started laughing when you said that they got pedophiles over there, and I just wanted to let the world know pedophiles.
That guy, and we'll get into this on our other shows.
Yeah. Let's get back to what we're supposed to be talking about. These fucking rich owners.
Well, they're rich as fuck, and they, at the end of the day, this is one thing I agree with. My dad said this in terms of the Brian Flores thing, because I talked to him about stuff, and this is kind of how he looks at it. This is really is what, same with Kaepernick. Like, this is what this boils down to. If you own your own company, nobody can really tell you what to do with your company. They're not maybe purposely hiring white men. Maybe they are. We don't know if they're racist. Like, so it's just like, that's why he has no basis in that part of it, regardless. Like, he has no basis in that.
No.
Whether he feels like they were unprofessional from John Elway showing up drunk or hungover and late, he has no basis to say that John Elway was doing that because it was him that he was interviewing with. Maybe he just was drunk as fuck. If what Flores is saying is true, allegedly. Maybe maybe Elway was drunk and he did just happen to show up for it. And like, look, I've gone out too and had nights where I didn't expect to do what I did, and I did do it, and then it turns into something else. John's a former player. He's the toast of the town. He is Denver's, pride and joy. And so I'm just saying, we can't be mad at people for having a good time. I'm not backing the white man or telling him like
no, you're being rational. Like
I'm just saying, it's just like, I bet B. Flores. Now, granted, maybe he doesn't go out and drink the night before an interview, but at the end of the day, when you're John, you're an exec, you're a made man already. You gotta just do what you want. Like you can do what you want. Like, hey, look, everywhere that John Elway shows up in Denver or Colorado,
he's that guy.
Yeah, they're sucking dick.
Figuratively. Let's hope.
It might literally be sucking dick, but the point is, dick's getting sucked.
Right. So I got this 4-leaf clover on my shoulder on like a random Tuesday night in San Diego. You know why?
No.
We went out for dinner, and then let's grab a drink after. Let's grab it. You know what? Let's go to this bar. Then you end up in a tattoo shop drunk. And your friend's like, hey, if y'all go get matching tattoos, I'll pay for them. And I'm like, whatever. Then you end up with a random tattoo, and then a few hours later, you end up in a strip club, you got to go to work in the morning. And it just happens like that. So I understand it. And here's the thing, though, because I want to circle back to the tanking or the buying of the L's, right? Because tanking is not accepted by players, but it is a strategy that ownership and executives execute. And if done properly, it is an effective strategy. So I mean, look at the Cleveland Browns.
Because if you're in a market where you can't sign people,
right?
What route do you have? You have to draft. And granted, they're always rough.
Think about this.
Tom Brady went in the 6th round, right?
Right, but think about this.
You always find the player, but at the same time, you have a higher chance once you can pick any of them.
Exactly, and some owners aren't going to spend money on free agents, but you look at the Browns, right?
Bengals too. Like, they're cheap.
I know, but I want to look at the Browns specifically because Hugh brought it up. Sashi Brown, who was their GM at one point in time, I think I got his name right. Black guy who was an analytics maven, and they traded out of the Carson Wentz pick. They traded out of the Deshaun Watson pick, and the golf. Yeah, they accumulate a bunch of draft capital, and now if you look at that roster, you go, holy shit! It makes sense why they have so much cheap talent on that roster right now.
They've been doing, I'm not to cut you off, but they've been doing that for years. I mean, the Julio Jones trade was with the Browns, right? So like, and this is like not something foreign to anyone.
So you look at their roster; they were in the playoffs a year ago. They had a really good roster last year. Injuries beat them up. Baker's not good.
Into the year, I think that they were one of the top 5 talented teams in the NFL from talent.
So you can say that that NFL tanking works. There's an argument that it works if done properly, if you give the coach and the GM the 7 years like Matt Rule has to actually execute the plan, you know? And
don't bring Matt Rule into this. Matt's over there minding his business. Let him go fucking 6-11 next year and let him get
and he's building
let that run its course.
He's building Rockefeller like Jay-Z, whatever his quote was. So the owner who's not sacrificing his body and is not emotionally invested into his employees like many would think he would be, goes, here's a long-range plan. Here's what we want to do. Yeah, coach and GM, I'm probably going to sacrifice both of you because I'm going to get pissed off one day because you're not winning and the fans are going to get mad and replace you with somebody who's going to win, Kevin Stefanski. So would you say, how would you feel if Arthur Blank decided to do a no shit 3-year tank in order to be good 5 years from now?
See, the one thing I like about Arthur Blank.
Do not contextualize it.
How would I feel if he did do it?
Yeah.
I think it depends on where we're at. Like everything is circumstantial. And so it depends on the circumstance. If we're in a position where the team, am I okay with it? To answer in short, yes. If the team is in the position to where that's our only way out. Now, we're Atlanta. People, even though Atlanta's not like super huge, it feels big. It feels bigger than what it is because it is. Like Atlanta is.
You got QC and strip clubs, okay?
It's not even just the rap shit though. And like even that entertainment. I mean, think about the movies and stuff. Plus, it's just a nice place. Like Atlanta's nice. Like there are so many different places you can go here, have a great time, beautiful women. If you're a man, of course, or a lesbian.
I mean, and if you're
whatever way you roll. And then it's a gay capital too. There's so many.
Yeah, I'm saying like if you're a gay guy, you're fine.
We're Morehouse alums. We know that that's gay city, right? And so like, you kind of get a good little bit of everything here. But it is a majority black city.
Like NFL.
But there's plenty of white people as well. We're still in the South, ladies and gentlemen. Like
you can go to Cobb County.
You can go to Cobb. The Braves are there. Look, hey, you got the Battery. I love the Battery too.
Me too. I feel safe there.
Me too. Me too. And not because it's not nigga. But
that's niggas there.
Niggas out there, But I just enjoy the Battery myself. But the point is, you can look at even all that or whatever. And I think that with somebody like Arthur, to get into it, he would never do that because he hasn't done it. Because you could have really just did it once the Vic thing happened.
And that's why I didn't want you to contextualize it because I know Arthur won't do it.
They drafted Matt Ryan, and the rest has kind of been history. I mean, okay, 28-3. Okay. And so you bring that in, but Arthur drafted who he thought would be the guy. I didn't expect that first year. You go 11-5 and you win football games. You go to the playoffs. Like nobody expected that. You sign a guy like Michael Turner at running back, and he's no star. Like you didn't pay him the way a star gets paid.
He didn't give us a 1,600 or 1,800 yard season.
It's 1,800 with I think 18 or 20 touchdowns. He had a fucking year. He was arguably the best running back in the NFL that year. Crazy enough, and I know he definitely led the league in rushing that year.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're both understanding from if you're gonna zoom out and say that there is a legitimate reason to tank in football if handled properly, but for the players and coaches don't tank, and none of the sports do players and coaches tank. The tanking only happens from the front office.
Look at the Texans this year. They purposely hired a guy that, and most people, even though I don't think they even did that bad, even though he's a lifer, he was a scapegoat. Like you set him up because you're like, well, he's not really head coach material. That's why he's been in the league for 30 fucking years and he's never had a job. being a head coach. I mean, Nick Fangio, like
Vic. Hold on, you talking about Vic Fangio in Denver?
I was talking about what's his face?
He's Nick Casario.
I talk about the coach,
David Culley. Okay. I'm sorry.
And so, like, but I brought in Fangio too because he's an example. Even though the Broncos like had this thing, doesn't it feel like they were just setting him up to get really their next coach? Like,
I think Fangio, was an NFL lifer who's well respected, and at some point, the NFL community says he deserves a head coaching job because he is a top 5 defensive coordinator in the league. Whether or not we think he'll be a good head coach, it's up for debate, but he's better than whatever coordinator we're probably going to hire. Like,
there's not a good pool of guys. Either the good guys are have jobs and you can't take them, you can't interview them, or even if you a la Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, these college guys that you had wanted.
I'm a cop, and you will respect my authority.
Hey, Herb Cartman. But Herb Cartman, ladies and gentlemen. But you could go that route too, right? You can do the college thing. I was shocked too that Jim Harbaugh didn't get this job with the Vikings. I figured he was a slam dunk hire, but because why wouldn't you? Like, if you remember, even last year for the Falcons when they were doing their hiring, I said I want Jim. I said we can get Jim. I said let's do Jim.
You wanted Jim. I didn't want Jim last year, but I was wrong for not wanting Jim.
I do like Arthur Smith now. Like, I think he did a lot with nothing, but like, come on, man.
Can't forget to know something, nigga.
Come on now. Yeah, exactly. But come on now. You got a guy like Jim out there. So you can go these different routes is all I'm saying for coaching. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like they purposely, the tanking is in once you see the hire. Like, some people are unknown commodity, like the Bears hired Eberflus, right? From the Colts.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
The Colts are in prime position. They're trying to win football games, and they do want to make the playoffs. And they have talent on the roster. It just depends. It's circumstantial. It depends on the state of your roster.
Well, Eberflus, let's just be real. Eberflus got that job because Bill Polian was a part of the coach search. And Eberflus comes from – yes. And Eberflus is part of the Marinelli coaching tree, which is part of the Dungy coaching tree. Bill Polian, Bill Polian, Tony Dungy, Rod Marinelli.
Time in Detroit. That team sucked.
It was a fucking inside job, man.
Like, it sucked.
And so you talked about coaching. Let's talk about the Rooney Rule. Let's just talk about the Rooney Rule and thoughts.
Brian Flores impression. I'm sorry. It's racist. We go ahead.
So the Rooney Rule is a National Football League policy that requires league teams to interview ethnic minority candidates for head coaching and senior football operations job. It is an example of affirmative action, even though there is no hiring quota or hiring preference given to minorities, only an interviewing quota. It was established in 2003, and variations of the rule are now in place in other industries. Okay. And here's let me tell you about cracker crumbs and how sometimes things get whited up, right? It is, how do we help these niggers? All right. First thing you want to do is not call them niggers, okay? Because when you call them niggers, they're not going to want your help. And then
very receptive.
Right. And then they're going to get loud and they're going to cause a scene. And then you're going to get upset. And then you're going to feel bad and go, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. You know what? Here, you can have it. And then they're going to accept it, but then not even be validated and accept it because it goes, oh, well, you just gave this to me because you called me a nigga and I raised hell. And then everybody on the outside is going to say, you're only getting this because they called you a nigga and you raised hell. And I'm not anti-affirmative action. I'm not, because I think you need.
It was put in place for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's put in place for a reason. But when applying affirmative action, you have to do it in good faith. And it goes on both ends. From the majority, make sure that when you're bringing people in to hire them, or you're hiring people to meet your fucking quota, that they are qualified or overqualified for the job. They are people who could get that job under normal circumstances. They just weren't given the best opportunity to get that job. Also,
it just wasn't the right time, or it just comes down to when you're the owner of your own company and you do something like that, you need to be able to look at something and say, hey, this is how I do things. This is how I want it to run. I got in this position to where there shouldn't be outside opinions helping me make this decision. The decision is mine. And at the end of the day, it's unfortunate, but that's how this world is. And it's not that we shouldn't challenge how this world is, but at the end of the day, you've got to be respectful of that too. We need to respect the idea that these people, they're billionaires, like they're rich as fuck. These people get to make that decision at the end of the day. They get to decide who the fuck they want to hire, like who they want to put in certain positions of power. Yes, would it look great if we had more black people, considering the NFL? It's got to at least be over 50% black, right?
73%.
Yeah. So in the NBA, we see obviously there's more black coaches. A lot of them typically are former players, or if they're not former players, they certainly have the experience or something, like a Fizz or something. Like these are people that have all this experience. Ty Lue's, Mark Jackson was a coach, obviously. But it's the same thing with white people. Like people were mad about Steve Nash getting hired to the Nets. Why?
KD wanted him. Kevin Durant wanted him. That's
just who they wanted. And Steve Nash is a very accomplished player, so he knows what he's talking about too.
Right. Derek Fisher got hired by the Knicks. So we celebrate Derek Fisher getting hired by not being a coach. We celebrate Mark Jackson getting hired by not being a coach. But we're mad that Steve Nash got it. And that's the bullshit. When I say we have to be real on both sides, is either the oppressor and the oppressed people. When you're on the receiving end of affirmative action, for one, be mindful that you may have got this because of affirmative action.
Let me tell you.
Make sure, though, that you are good enough. And if you get turned down, or if you're an affirmative action hire and then you're immediately let go because you're not fucking good, don't blame it on you being black. Blame it on you not being good enough. It's a two-way street here.
This is going to be a great clip to cut and put even out there for the people for IG, because let me tell you something. We want to talk about the bigger issues. Let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room. Fuck the coaching. Fuck the GMs. What about the ownership? Michael Jordan, I think, out of the four major sports, might be the only majority black owner in sports. And so
Magic Johnson is a Dodgers. He's part of ownership.
Not even majority. Jordan's the only one, and Jordan's a former player, and it's the NBA. But why can't we get some black owners? Because now the interview process changes. They're in on the meetings too. If it's 32 in the NFL, if it's 32 fucking white men in a room, and I'm not calling them racist, but like the thing is that, well, how does it change? Okay, well, we'll do the Rooney Rule, whatever that is. What about getting the ownership? What about the money? There's plenty of black people that have the money to own a team if they desire to do that. Why don't we get a black owner in the NFL? There's never been a black owner in the NFL. Let's get a black owner. And no, I don't want Jay-Z or Sean Combs to be the fucking owner. Kanye, I'm a big Kanye fan. I don't want Kanye to be the owner of an NFL team.
They're not going to run it properly
to do it, but there still is plenty of black people with money. Everybody holds Condoleezza Rice in big regard. Obviously, she's not a billionaire. She can't afford a team. I think she got interviewed once for I don't know if it was coaching or GM. Somebody interviewed Condoleezza Rice once for a job.
I want to say she got interviewed. I know she's involved in sports, and they wanted her to
the college football playoff committee, right?
Right.
She's held in higher regard, and black people look at her as him and Colin Powell. I mean, Chappelle made fun of it, but these are black people that are looked at as traitors because they're on the Bush administration. But it doesn't mean
because you would turn down a job on the Bush administration if you were qualified for it. Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. And then you really are good at what you do. I don't remember. I mean, I was young. We were young. The Bush administration was I feel like elementary and middle, and then of course Obama's high school, college, and so everybody loves President Obama.
They don't even know. Hey, niggas don't even know why they love Obama.
These places too, but go ahead.
I don't want to get into some of the Obama.
I'm not going to get into politics.
I'm not anti-Obama, but yeah, a lot of y'all niggas like Obama. y'all like Obama for a lot of the wrong reasons, but that's another conversation. Yeah, and it's okay for that to be your only reason. Just admit it. Just admit it.
You just want to see a nigga. I get it. I get
and
it.
to your ownership thing, man, that's why, again, I proposed this crazy theory and this media shit because it'll never stick, is that you have to earn your ownership, right? You have to be able to maintain it because ownership has to be competitive. Because, again, owning the team, or in the NBA, governing the team, because, they don't call them owners no more. It needs to be as competitive as winning games is. Because when it's not as competitive as winning games is, there's no incentive for you to change the way you think. Because guess what? You can put in all these great diversity rules, but if you don't have diverse decision makers, and if you don't have a reason to make the owners, the rich billionaires, most of them in their and on the back end of their life, making those people change the way they think or just change their actions to appeal to you or appease you, nothing's going to happen. If there's no threat of them losing their team because they're not a good owner, nothing's going to happen, because football or sports ownership is much different than most business ownership, right? Yeah. To own most businesses, you have to be a competent individual in order to own and run that business, because if it's a huge
corporate position,
right, to get to that position, usually there's a board that can vote you out if you fucking suck, right? Or you just won't. Or if you start a business yourself, if you're not good, your business will flop.
Exactly.
Where pro sports, you would think Bill Belichick would own a football team, right? Because he is like the brightest football mind we've ever seen. But he's probably never going to own a team because, for one, he's going to coach until he's too fucking old.
He's old now.
To be an owner, right?
All the owners are kind of old. And
yeah. But by the time he retires, like, he's going to not want to take on that.
These systems are so similar. I mean, you look at the government, right? We look at, everybody talks about the president. Fuck the president. What about Congress, right? Most of these people, they have unlimited terms. They're typically old white men, typically. Majority.
Crazy white women, like, what's her name?
The similarities between the two in reality. And so, like, I understand how everybody can look at something and be like, now there's only 32 NFL owners, and the people get to decide who's your representative, whether for the House or the Senate. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. America's a democracy, right? But it's also
gerrymandered democracy.
It's also a fucking capitalistic society, so money means something too, and we know this. Everybody knows that money means something, and so I just think that you gotta take these things in stride. And of course, there will be improvements. Like, there will eventually be a black owner in the NFL. I believe eventually it's got to happen. There's no way, because then it will continue to be looked at as, these motherfuckers really might be racist. And but they're not racist. Just because they're like, no, I'm sorry, this white guy, we thought he was better to run it. It's not because he's a nigga. If he had the same resume as the white man, and the white man had his resume, we would have picked him too. I guess it's kind of how they're going to look at it.
Yeah, and also a good old boys club. Like, if I know you and you want to buy in, I mean, look at our former president, Donald Trump. He had enough money to buy in at one point in time. They didn't want him, so he didn't buy in.
Yeah, because they didn't think that he was fit to do it. So,
again, we're not here defending the perceived racist owners or the alleged racist owners. You got to provide context to this stuff. And a lot of the world we live in is relationship built and identity built. So, like, if I can identify with somebody, I tend to want to be around those people. I tend to be more open to those people. And I tend to view their less than favorable characteristics properly because I can properly contextualize them. Like, you and I can sit around and we can talk, curse, use the N word and use the B word. And I don't think you're a dumb, ignorant nigga because that's how you're speaking in this point in time. I know that you're a high functioning human being who's running a successful business right now, and you make real adult decisions, and you speak like you should in the business place when you're in the business place.
For sure. And that's why, judging a person off of anything if you don't know them, you can't judge them. Like, yes, you can get a feeling or anything. Like you can gauge a situation however you want. And most people, they go off their hunch, right? They should. 9 times out of 10, you're probably right, because that's however you were raised, or however whatever happened, that's how you gauge situations. But at the same time, we also can be wrong, and people forget we're all human. So like, we all do wrong, like, and we just have to understand that. And I just think that in a situation like this, the Rooney Rule is great in general, because people that are black, they should be there should be enough of them in it to where you are interviewing them for these positions, whether it be GM, head coach, or not. But like I said, if we break it down into a bigger thing, let's talk about the ownership. I mean, that is where this really, if we want to start breaking it down, everybody's mad about a coach or a GM. Well, what about, and grant, teams don't go up for sale very often. We saw the last team I can truly remember, obviously, getting sold was because Donald Sterling.
Panthers.
Yeah, and Tepper is the richest owner in the NFL. And then Kroenke's second. So, like, he's the richest dude. And so, like, he fucking licensed the NFL's shit. He owns Fanatics. Like, everybody buys, if you buy sports stuff, for the most part, you're probably getting it from him. And so he's rich enough to where it's just like, well, he's the highest bidder. I mean, but same thing with the Clippers. In reality, the Clippers aren't worth $2 billion. But guess what?
He paid cash. I don't even think he was the highest bidder. He paid cash.
He paid cash. And then if you just look at him, what's his name?
Got Microsoft.
Ballmer.
Steve Ballmer.
Steve Ballmer also is enthusiastic as fuck.
He's a good owner too, though.
But he's enthusiastic. He's at the games. He's dapping up everybody.
Bro, do you know what he did during COVID?
He's a high energy guy. He's perfect owner.
You know, during COVID, he bought the entire team home gyms once they got locked in and realized, like, you know, everybody don't have like a gym in their house because everybody there didn't have like a big ass house. You know what I mean? He bought the whole team home gyms so that they could work out and stay in shape, keep lifting, all that stuff during COVID. Like, Steve Ballmer isn't just here to make the money.
He is exactly the type, regardless of race, he's exactly who you want owning a team, though. Like,
so hear me out.
The Hawks are owned by a group, or they were. Now,
no, yeah, they're still a group because Grant Hill is part of the ownership group.
But there's actually a face on it now. Like, the Braves are owned by a group. We don't even know. I don't know who the CEO. That it's owned by a group. That's a group statement whenever you talk about the Braves. And, you know, everybody's like, you know, Braves got all this talent. They draft well. They always accumulate picks and stuff. And you look at it and you're just like, well, God damn it. I mean, can we spend some money? But it's owned by a group. And so, like, you don't even know who to address.
And groups don't make decisions very well. And one thing I think
because there's multiple opinions.
Like, Steve Ballmer is I think owners should be the super rich, competitive billionaires like Steve Ballmer, who I'm not saying he doesn't care about the team turning a profit, but if you look at the money he spends on his coaching staff, the luxury tax money that he's spending, it's more than just the money for him. He's competitive and he wants to win. He really wants to take LA from the Lakers, which he'll never do, but he wants to do it and he's trying to do it. And or you want to have some 100 millionaires who are trying to get to that billion, who are so hungry that they're going to claw to get there. But you get these, and this is going to sound crazy, but like these average billionaires, you know, the ones who, like, yeah, they got their billions, but they're not like Ballmer rich. They're not fucking my man's in fucking Carolina rich because he's trying to fucking win. Tepper's trying to win.
Yeah.
And like, especially these legacy owners, man, like, they care more about the showpiece than they do about winning the game. But let's get into my Bill Belichick. No, you know what? Let's go to what happens next. We'll go to the Bill Belichick conspiracy next. After that. So what happens next, Parlay Pete? Where do we go from here? And maybe we've already talked about it, but is there change that is going to happen? Because I'm going to put it out here. I don't think shit going to change. Look at him. He's cashing in a big one. Emporia app. Go get it for you gamblers. But I mean, the NFL with the Colin Kaepernick thing, the league has shown that they don't really care. You know, Michael Jackson said, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us." Was it the great? No, I had something saved, man. I was gonna have a little Kanye for you. Let me know when you're ready, though.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I got a random call, but go ahead.
Okay, but yeah, so we like. Let's see where we go.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
And I'm not here to talk about George Bush not caring about black people, but I'm here to talk about the NFL not caring about black people because guess what? We are the help. That's all we are the help. At one point in time, we could only play we couldn't play it all. Then they go, oh shit, them niggas are big and fast and strong. So then we could only play certain positions. Oh man, black players, they're not cerebral. They can't think that way. They can't play center. They can't play middle linebacker. They can't play quarterback. Well, a lot of the guys who play middle linebacker can't play professional football anymore because nobody cares about a guy who's 6'2", 250 pounds and runs a 4.9 40. Son, you better put your hand in the dirt. Oh, no, you're not strong enough or fast enough to play DN. You're not big enough to play tackle. You're not a football player anymore. Oh, yep. Fullback. No, not playing football anymore. And even with the quarterbacks, as much as we see Tom Brady being great, as much as we see Matt Stafford being great, the traits that are proving to be the winning quarterback traits are leaning towards your black quarterbacks. Yeah, like can you first read, second read, third read, check down? All right, bet. But can you make plays out of sequence? Yes. What Matt Stafford? He's not running like Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick, but Matt Stafford, he can scramble. He can make a big play off the scramble. Joe Burrow, his biggest plays that he made in the AFC Championship were runs on third down. Hell, who else played? Patrick Mahomes. Well, he's black, and you see what he does. James Garoppolo is going to be on a good team next year, and they're going to be underwhelmed. Aaron Rodgers, great arm talent, but don't forget Aaron Rodgers used to run a lot. Super athletic. So the skill sets that are natural to a lot of black quarterbacks who are too dumb to play the position is now becoming the base skill set. I mean, I talked about Josh Allen being good Cam Newton, accurate Cam Newton. Same, boss. Like it's all coming full circle. And don't get me wrong, you still have to be able to throw from the pocket, but nobody wants Kyle Trask.
Size matters too. And
size.
That's why a guy like Blake Sims, for instance. Blake was a starting quarterback at Alabama. They won, 11 or 12 games. They lost to Ohio State. Blake was 4 inches taller. Blake would have been drafted in the top.
Blake is
even if it was the 4th round, he would have been drafted, right? And so size matters. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead.
Bring me back to this point when we're done. But what do you really think happens next year? Because at each level now, the NFL, I will give the NFL, and fuck that. I'm not giving the NFL credit. I'm going to give society credit to realizing that a lot of these racial stances are stupid, and they eventually start to see people of different races and cultures in a more favorable light. Does this happen in the coaching and front office model? I mean, my God, one of the best active coaches, one of the best coaches in NFL history, a guy who has not had a losing season and went 8-8 with fucking Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, the only black coach left standing, Mike Tomlin.
Duck's a goddamn, he's a warrior. We can't be disrespecting Duck like this.
Man, fuck Duck. He's doing
Duck's a Hodges.
Stand corrected. But
I love Duck.
Do you think I love some good duck too? Thai duck. Oh my God. It's so
Duck confit is obviously they used to, they shut down Twist or I think it was called Twist, but it was at not Linux, but now I'm losing track of that. The other one, Buckhead.
Phipps.
Phipps Plaza.
Hey, are we going to the grand opening of Nobu Atlanta?
I want to go. It's over there. It's like
It's at Phipps.
I want to go. I mean, it's pretty cool. Nobu's here. Like,
yeah, I feel like we should go there sometimes.
I've been to 2 Nobu's.
I've not been to one because I'm a brokey.
I went to one in the maybe what we consider kind of the per capita is the richest place on earth.
New York or LA?
I'm talking on earth. So it's out the country, not
Yeah,
Dubai.
I was saying out the country.
Dubai either.
It wasn't Dubai.
Dubai. Is there a Nobu in Dubai? I'm sure there is. But
I don't think so. I was on the website today actually looking at.
I went to Nobu in Monte Carlo. So we're talking south of France. I mean, fat cats all around the place.
Are you talking about the guys or the women?
Both. Both. Because they kind of are one. They coincide. So like, if it's somebody with a fat wallet, there's certainly a fat cat in there too. Mm-hmm. And so, but yes, to answer your question, absolutely, I want to go. Like
back to the real question. What happens next?
Overpriced sushi. But go ahead.
That's fine. What happens next? Look, bro, I had Albany sushi before we started this podcast.
Oh, how was that?
It wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was all right.
You're close to water a little bit.
I'm pretty sure
you're closer to the coast than I am.
I still would trust yours more than I trust mine.
Me too.
But so what do you think happens next after with this Brian Flores suit? Do you think anything comes of it, or is it?
I think he just won't get a job, and he's not going to win it. I think those are the 2 easiest answers and the best betting odds.
So you just saying he's still a nigga?
I think that's how it's going to be looked at. Yeah.
Okay, so I think one interesting
or and I'm talking about or outside of them just dismissing it all together, they'll probably settle. At the very least, the NFL doesn't want to be in that predicament because, like we talked about earlier, it's more than just sports. If this comes out and they were able to do that, the NFL will sweep it under the rug, and maybe that's why he's suing. And most people sue because of that. They honestly, I think, in my opinion, most people sue to settle.
I hope he's not suing to settle like Cap did.
It's like having an ace and a 9 in blackjack, and the dealer's got 10. For the most part, you probably aren't going to lose. At the very least, you'll push. So
I hope he's not suing to settle. I hope he's being a true martyr because, I mean, the sad thing about Colin Kaepernick, he sued, he settled, and we don't even get the details of that. And not that I care about the money. I care more about, what was said, what the NFL, admitted to doing. So the thing that I think was maybe the smoking gun here came from Bill Belichick. A text congratulating Brian on winning the job for the Giants, where Brian Daboll, who is the Giants' new coach, which it makes sense because the GM came from Buffalo instead of Brian Flores, who, he's part of the Belichick tree, as is Daboll. And Flores was like, pretty much like, hey, coach, I hadn't interviewed yet. And then Bill's like, oh, shit, I fucked this up. And some people are like, oh, my God, how dare he put Bill Belichick out like that? Look, Bill Belichick gave this guy a job 22 years ago. He vouched for him. I am more than confident.
Bill's not the issue, even though the texts are a little funny.
Texts are weird, but I'm more than confident that he told Bill, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm using this. And no matter how Bill feels about it, when you got that much time invested in somebody, especially somebody that you mentored, I am inclined to believe that you're not going to be pissed off about it. So for those people who are trying to say, oh, he threw Belichick under the bus, okay, maybe, but I doubt it. And for everyone saying that Bill made a mistake, and I heard Chris Long talk about it today, and I was like, damn it, Chris Long, you're saying what I'm saying before I'm saying it. But I don't think Bill did that on accident. You're talking about the most detailed coach in the league, arguably in history. You're talking about a coach who changes game plans mid-game in order to beat a team. You talk about a coach whose teams have a different identity week to week because it's about winning. Do your job. It's about the details.
The Patriot way.
The Patriot way. Do you really think he fucked up a text? Like, some people say, oh, we all mess up text. Yeah, we're all not as meticulous as Bill Belichick.
We're not Bill.
Do you think, yeah, like, hey, if you're listening to this, you're not going to be as good at anything you do as Bill Belichick is at what he does. You're just not going to be that good. You're not, okay? So I think Bill does it on accident to show B. Flo, his guy, one of his most trusted D coordinators. I mean, the guy who called the Malcolm Butler play. Give him a heads up to show him the fuck shit that's going on. And then he still has plausible deniability. Goes, oh, I forgot. I mean, Brian D, Brian F, their names are next to each other in my phone. If that's an Android, because on an iPhone, your names are fucking sorted by last name, not first name. I'm just saying. I think Bill tipped him off just to let him know the fuck shit.
You know, it's funny. They're talking about this in the group right now.
They are?
Yeah, literally right now. It's kind of funny. You know, there needs to be a platform, and StreamYard, I'm sorry, but there needs to be a platform where you can just add in people that'll just like talk, because literally they're talking about it right now. And
who's talking about it? Because I can call one of them niggas right now. Who's
Justice? It's JP. It's Boink.
You think who should we call? Who you want to call?
Get Boink in. I like to hear Boink's input. Boink is such a level-headed person, and so
I can't believe they're quoting fucking Jason Titlock.
Well, you know, Titlock, you know, another guy. We start talking about when black people get positions. You look at the people that are getting them. I think I could do Jason Whitlock personally, but
oh God, we all can. But you know what? Titlock is good at pissing people off.
He is.
He says stuff that makes you click.
Well,
Joel's probably not going to answer.
He's probably like, "Why is Adam?"
Please leave your message for 6.
Joel doesn't love us. Let's go, Justice.
Yeah, bring Justice in. He knows we're recording too. Like, I know that he knows that. He's not here. Like, he's not Brian. I can imagine that he knows that.
Joel's an asshole.
Hey man, Joe's in the room. Just give me a second.
You're good. Joel's probably gonna text me and be like, "What do you want?"
Yo, what up, Lee?
Hey, what's up, Hoos? Pierce and I are recording, and we're talking about this Bill Belichick, Brian Flores, and I'm saying it's a conspiracy theory that Bill did this shit on purpose. And I haven't read the group. What's going on, Justice? Like, fill me in on what you think about this shit.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Okay, bet.
So, I think that you said that you believe that Bill Belichick knows, like he's full aware of what's going on, correct? Like he intentionally sent the message?
Yes, and then because their names are the same, he has plausible deniability. But I know on my iPhone, F's and D's are not going to be next to each other even if they have the same name because the last names are sorted. I mean, names are sorted by last name, not first name.
Right.
Well, hold on. Let me put my phone on charge. All right.
You're on the Big Baby podcast.
Oh, yeah, you're on the podcast, by the way. Sorry.
We're live.
My apologies. So,
no apologies needed.
So with that said, I don't think that Bill Belichick wants bad publicity, to be quite frank. I mean, and to me, this kind of would seem like bad pub, but it could also be kind of a reverse psychology type move. I am just under the impression, like, based off what I've picked up digitally from how Bill Belichick carries himself on television and interviews, that this is the last thing that he will want. But again, I'm in no position to say, but I don't think that's the case. I think that Bill Belichick's an older man. He could have mistakenly texted Brian Flores when he meant to text Dayball, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, and he could have made an honest mistake. And there could be potentially a good old boy system behind closed doors in the NFL. And man, even the most cherished and heralded people that you would think in the public eye could be a part of that good old boy system.
Maybe so, and I wouldn't be shocked if Bill was a part of the good old boy system. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I came on here Monday and I was just really, really giving Bill Belichick his flowers, and I just truly want to believe that he's above that, and that he was looking out for his guy in the best way that he could, because I can imagine that Brian Flores had voiced his frustrations with the hiring process to
Right.
Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick knows, although he has not had to go through the hiring process in well over 20 years.
Nope, sure hasn't. He has not, and he's done a lot of interviewing. And I think and there almost has to be, this is what we do know, right? At least this is what I take away from it. There's clearly a secret chain of higher ups who talk about this stuff. Like,
yeah, Kraft and Jerry, they run the league.
Like a group chat almost. Like kind of, we've all been a part of group chat. And why does Bill Belichick know? He is not the head coach of the New England Patriots. Why
He
does
is the head coach of the New England?
I'm sorry. I made a mistake. He is not the head coach of the New York Giants. They both have new in their names. I'm sorry. And I actually think he did work. I think he worked for the Giants at one point. But
yeah. He was Bill Parcells' defensive coordinator.
Hall of Fame.
Correct.
Fucking game plan.
People forget Bill Belichick won Super Bowls before.
Well, and I get it. All right, look, I get it. He's tied in, but do you guys think that Kent State is calling Nick Saban and letting him know, or LSU is calling Nick Saban and saying, "Hey, man, do you think that?"
Do people associate him with that? I mean, yes, people.
And that's college. That's college ball. We can keep it strictly professional football, but it is odd that Giants brass would let Bill Belichick know what's going on in their front office. That's weird, man. That's weird. It's fishy and it's odd.
It is, but the Mara family has been running the Giants forever, and Bill has a great relationship with them.
Respected, and Bill.
Yeah, it's just like Jerry's. Yeah, it's like Jerry's relationship with Sean Payton. I'm sure Sean Payton knows things about the Cowboys that he shouldn't know, based on who he is and where he is in life. But because Jerry likes him, loves him, he gives him information. Just like I feel like the Maras give Bill information because they've been wanting Belichick to come back forever.
Does Sean have ties to the Cowboys? Like, was he ever on staff before he became?
He's a Parcells guy, just like
Parcells guy, QB coach.
That's how he got the Saints job.
Okay, all right, makes sense. I mean, no, it makes sense. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know. I genuinely didn't know where. I mean, hell, what's his name? He just retired. Obviously, the Saints head coach.
Yeah, Sean Payton.
Sean Payton literally has been their coach for the most part since I can remember, since I was like a child. So probably like
06, 07.
06.
Like until I was of age to really be cognizant of what was going on in pro football.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was before that, he was the quarterback's coach under Bill Parcells.
And Tony Romo being at the start of think about it, Tony Romo calls football games, but he was at the start of his career when Sean Payton was the quarterback's coach there.
Yeah.
Undrafted, free agent.
Sticky, man. It's sticky. This is what I take away from it. There's clearly it's not a secret society. It's a public secret society of higher ups. And honestly, to be quite frank with you, it would seem as if the NFL behind closed doors is not taken as seriously. Like, it's taken seriously in the public eye. Like, how these guys, they do their post-game interviews, how they handle scouting, recruiting. Well, not recruiting, but technically recruiting, but I guess scouting and drafting and practices. I mean, HBO does the hard knock camps, and everything's super serious with these guys, man. Like, honestly, you would think the NFL. I mean, it's treated like a force. I mean, I guess it is. I mean, everything is treated extremely seriously. It's not a game, and it just would seem behind closed doors now with the information being shared by Flores and Hugh Jackson, and even this whole Belichick thing with him, from what I perceive is accidentally texting him, is that it might not be as serious as we think. I mean, in a weird way. I mean, and to be quite frank, I've got a peer that plays in the NFL, and I forget the gentleman's name off the top of my head, but in the public eye, everybody hates him. But behind closed door, apparently the players coach and everybody loves him. I forgot the gentleman's name. He was just the Jets head coach last year.
Gase. So,
Adam Gase, he fucking sucks.
Yeah, Gase sucks.
Yeah, me and Justice were just at a bar. Surprise, surprise. And we talked about that. Actually, it's funny that this even got brought up, but we did talk about that ironically when we were with the Chargers. We were with multiple Chargers players, and I'm talking maybe eight Charger players were there. And we talked about this, how, they're cool with Gase. They were talking about how Gase, you text, your FaceTime. I mean, these guys hang out together in a weird way. The coaches be hanging out with the players because they're all grown men.
Yeah.
And now Zach Taylor, 36, 37. Gosh, I mean,
McVay and Stafford put back Bruce together.
Some of the players are older than them.
Yeah.
So is it really surprising that these guys, they hang out, they talk too? Like, there is no surprise there. There's no shock. And so, but yeah, in bringing something like that up, just because we know from firsthand information, right, from being around these people, that this is what happens in the NFL.
And Parlay Pete, an earlier point that we made, or that I made, is that the owners, they look at the bottom line more than they look at wins and losses. Players and coaches care about wins and losses. Owners care about dollars and cents. And by dollars and cents, I mean dollars and thousands of dollars. Because guess who got an email today about, hey, would you like to renew your seats with the Atlanta Falcons?
You
fucking
did.
Right. That's what they care about. They care about fucking PSLs and season ticket holders and all of that stuff.
Well, or according to Justice, they care about selling hot dogs and letting Kanye have listening parties. That's what Arthur Blank's in the business for, is for that.
Well, I think that a bulk of NFL owners are in the business of selling event space, and which is lucrative, and selling hot dogs. I mean, if it's like this, the more you buy, the cheaper, the more the product you buy, the cheaper it is. And these guys are buying hot dogs and sodas, a penny a cup, a penny a hot dog, and a penny a bun, and the margins. Seriously, no,
I know.
And especially a lot of these guys. I mean, they're in the business of events, but they're food salesmen. They're glorified, food salesmen and event space and
fashion designers.
Well, that too. And at this point, it's 32 owners in the NFL, 32 teams. They know damn well when they go to these league meetings. I think they have them in Florida. I think that's where they have them.
Oh man,
they've done it here. They've done it in Atlanta.
Well, they have these league meetings every time, over the summer. And come on, man, some of these guys know the roster they have. They know they're not winning, man. So,
they're doing a lot of toot. They're doing a lot of toot and fucking a lot of hookers.
A lot of it. A lot. I mean, a lot. I'm shocked that Vince McMahon's not a part of legal owners. I mean, you know, he's too reckless for those guys.
Oh no, they don't want him. He's a slime ball. You see how he treats his wrestlers?
We talked about how Trump didn't get approved to own a team. I mean, think about it.
I'm gonna tell you something. Vince McMahon probably epitomizes what an NFL owner is. He just is like
him or Hugh Hefner.
No. I think that Vince epitomizes what an NFL owner is.
How so?
Honestly. Well, because think about it. Vince deals with athletes as well. Hugh Hefner dealt with, you know, he was basically a soft porn salesman, essentially. I mean, that's how I take it. I don't know if Playboy ever got in the hard.
Hugh Hefner is a fucking legal pimp.
He's a pimp.
Yeah.
He had a fucking brothel, and he put his hoes in a magazine and said, "Here's your coins."
Well. That way it's a legitimized business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
no money laundering here.
Vince McMahon dealt with athletes, like legitimate athletes, man. And, you know, he dealt with weightlifting, steroids, guys going off the turnbuckle. And I would think just how Vince has carried himself. And
CTE?
You said because of what?
No, I said he deals with CTE as well, just like the NFL.
He does. I just think that Vince McMahon, and obviously he started his own league. So why would he start his own league? Because they wouldn't let him into the circle of 32 owners. I don't think it's because he didn't have enough money. I just think that they didn't want him in because of one. When you think about it, NFL owners are actually very private men. I mean, like as far as
not Robert Kraft. He goes to your local rub and tug.
Well, no, not Rob.
I get what you're saying. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are not NFL owners. Bill Gates is not an NFL owner.
Well, apparently, and I'd have to pull a source, but apparently Jeff has attempted to buy an NFL team, but they won't let him. You know, but then again, you know, Jeff owns what does he own? Does he own the Washington Post, correct?
Yeah, and the largest
lying Washington Post.
Amazon damn near is the largest logistic company in the world, and they're not.
I know that.
Yeah, I'm putting an application with them soon.
I know how he's made his fortune. What I'm saying is that he owns a news outlet that might put out opinions and thoughts that aren't favorable to a lot of the owners' views. I don't know. It's all speculation. But what I'm saying is that Vince McMahon, PR-wise, just wouldn't be good for the NFL. And the NFL, all these men, hell, boys, we're from Georgia. Basically, we're all from Atlanta. We're from the suburbs of Atlanta. And, man, how often do you hear about Arthur Blank in the news? For anything.
You don't. Unless he's
never, man. And he's not the richest guy in the state, but, man, he owns one of the larger structures in downtown Atlanta. A little odd, if not, I mean, circumference-wise, he definitely has to own the largest structure.
The richest guy in the state is obviously P.
It's who?
P.
P who?
QC. Come on now. Nobody has more money than QC.
Oh, yeah. P. Oh, you mean P?
CEO P.
Yeah. Hey, it's been great talking to you, man. We're at an hour and a half. We got a few more topics to hit, and I'm going to try to see if Josh answers the phone, man. Thanks.
I appreciate the call.
Yep.
All right. Glad to have you on.
Oops. Yeah, well. Josh Holy said he doesn't want to talk to us.
No interviews. Is he Kanye now?
He's going to reject the call.
He got himself a white woman, and now he's Kanye. I don't get it. Did I say too much? My bad.
I think it's hilarious.
I'm just telling the truth.
I mean, what kind of friend is this? We call you. We want your
niggas are looking at the phone and they're seeing it ring.
Right, like he won't even he won't even decline it. Right. He silenced it. He's in the group talking to me right now. Literally.
Message.
This is Josh. Leave a message.
I'm gonna leave
At the tone, please record your message. When
you
you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
This is Adam and Pierce. Here's our message.
we're here at the Big Baby Podcast, and we wanted you to join us. And we know it's bullshit. We know that you looked at your phone because you just sent a message to the group. Come on, man. Answer the goddamn phone.
I mean, this is just disgusting, Josh. We expect better from you, but you know what? JP didn't say he wouldn't answer, so he's getting called next. Goodbye. Juice talking to his damn mom. Well, I don't mean it like that. He's talking to his mom.
Come on, nobody. It's no disrespect.
Yeah, no disrespect at all. Like,
he's only calling his mom, and so
because he would answer. JP used to be on this podcast, so he should answer. Everyone. You know one crazy thing though, like taking the race aspect away from it, a lot of NFL owners are just bad at hiring coaches. Like they turn over 25% of the league every year.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So JP didn't answer. What happens next? Do you want to talk about Bill Belichick or Tom Brady's retirement, or we want to put that off?
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit.
Brady kind of retired. Jeff Darlington and Adam Schefter reported over the weekend, and the Brady camp came out and said, no, he's not retired, blah, blah, blah. And I came on here Monday and said, I think Brady had his people leak that out just so that he could be in the headline since he wasn't playing. And then he had his people come out and refute it. And then he comes out Tuesday and says, I retire. All right, Tom, you little 9-page Instagram post. I guess he wants to control the narrative, but that's not how it works. Once you start leaking information, you tell somebody some stuff, it's going to get to the important people, and they're going to report it. And so many people were upset with the media for, how dare you not let Tom announce his retirement? Because this is how I feed my kids. So when I get information, I'm going to report it. Fuck Tom. And not to say that I don't have any respect for Tom, because no, Tom's dope. But once you tell one person, you've told 10 people. So if you don't think that that's going to get out, Tom's more media savvy than that. So, it is what it is. It happened. I'll tell you though though. Him not including the Patriots and Bill Belichick in his whole retirement piece was funny because, up in Boston, they think they're the center of the world. And they weren't happy. They were pissed off about it. And I was listening to a podcast and apparently on a radio show in Boston, a question was asked, a legitimate radio show in Boston, sports talk radio up there, maybe they should hire me, was, do you think Tom hurt his legacy by moving to Tampa Bay?
What type of fucking question is that?
Because he left the Pats.
Tom Brady had nothing to prove anyways. I saw a wild stat. He could have ended his career, I think it was 2012 or something like that. And you know that he had 17 playoff wins, and that would still be the most in NFL history. We're talking 10 years ago. I mean, that is
AP.
That is unbelievable.
Major Parlay, what's up, man?
What's up?
Not much. We just wanted to call in. We saw y'all talking about Belichick and Flores in the group.
And we've got you live here on the Big Baby podcast. Welcome back, friend.
What's up, pod?
We're here.
Yeah, we're here, man. So, what are your thoughts on this whole Belichick? Do you think he leaked it on purpose?
Well, I think it's one of those things where we'll never know if he leaked it on purpose or not. We could definitely, you know what I'm saying? It could go either way. I think there's a better chance that he sent that shit on purpose than him not saying that shit on purpose. But Belichick is calculated, and he knows that, you know what I'm saying, this is a mistake that he could make.
See,
he already had the excuse for this mistake built up. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's plenty of times where he wanted to say something, but he couldn't because the two coaching hires weren't both named Brian. But in this case, they were. That's going to be done with the shit in the next 5 years. So he was kind of just like, fuck it.
Yeah, that's how I felt, Major Parlay. I felt like he was just he did it in a way because to have plausible deniability, but
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
But-
That's it exactly.
but he was trying to help his guy out because, I mean, he gave Flores his start. Flores was a Boston College guy who then worked for the Patriots after graduating college and was there up until he left to go to the Dolphins. Like, come on, man. That's his guy. That's his man's man.
I'm sure he knew that Flores was interviewing. Like, he was cognizant of all of this. You feel me? Like, he knew that there were two Brians interviewing for the same job. So I'm sure he knew beforehand to differentiate between the two. So, I mean, yeah, it's plausible deniability. And, you know what I'm saying? Good for Bill. Because I don't want Bill to I don't want anybody to scrutinize Bill. But it's also like, Bill's in a position of like, who the fuck can scrutinize him? You know what I mean? Like, Bill's not job over this shit.
Yeah.
Rick Ross said it best. Bill Belichick coaching and calling the shots. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what he is. He's a shot caller. He's been the GM there. He's been the head coach there. He's constructed arguably, if not certainly the greatest dynasty in NFL history, but we can look across sports, arguably the best dynasty
for sure.
And consistency and in what is considered even maybe the hardest league to have one of those. Because in the NBA, now it's, thanks to LeBron. Yeah, fuck you, LeBron. I'm talking to you. No, it's not fuck LeBron. It's Team Kobe here. But nonetheless, it's easier to do it in other leagues as opposed to the NFL. It's very hard. There's a lot of parity in the NFL. That's why every year now we've got 14 playoff teams. But even when it was 12 or 14, pretty much half the time, half the teams that are in the playoffs weren't there the year before. So it's a lot harder to do that. And Bill is in one of these positions where, he has, just like Tom, they were because they're going to always be paired together. He doesn't have anything to lose. He's already accomplished everything. There's nothing. What can Tom, what, he, and we look at even other things that have came up in the media, even for them, Deflategate. The recording, your owner Kraft going to get his dick massage.
Hey, there's a part of me that questions whether or not, with Flores having worked for Belichick for so long, there's a part of me that questions if like they actually have an ongoing texting relationship, and like I wonder if Flores told Belichick about that, them offering to pay him to lose type shit. You feel me?
That and also, hey, Bill, while I'm your defensive coordinator, I interviewed for the Broncos job. Man, John Elway was fucking lit when I did this interview. So It makes you wonder, right, did any of this other stuff, who did he tell? Who did Flores tell in general? Did he ever bring it up? And if so, that's why.
Yeah, I highly doubt the first people he came out to with this shit was the media.
The NFL has already.
His wife knows if he's got one. You know what I mean?
The NFL already came out and said there's really no basis for the lawsuit in reality. So they're just kind of like, shut the fuck up, nigga. Like that's kind of like what they're saying. Even
well, I mean, that's what makes it a lawsuit is the fact that, you know what I mean? If he could have just went up to the NFL higher uppers, he would have just done that. You feel what I'm saying? But he was like, no, the NFL higher ups can't do shit for me. This is involving John Elway. You know what I mean? Like,
but Belichick has that weight, and it's like if that's your mentor / first boss and only boss before you even got into this, why wouldn't you use him as a resource? And even if Bill, let's say that Bill was like, oh, I don't want to put my hands on this. Like regardless of how accomplished I am, I just don't want to be a part of this. And,
I mean, when we talk about how much weight Bill has, I mean, I forgot this. Like, Bill doesn't have the weight to pull an entire. He doesn't have the weight to make an owner outside of Robert Kraft do anything.
That's true, but he's still the greatest coach in NFL history, and I just think that
that doesn't get you.
Obviously, he's connected to an organization. Now, granted, he worked for the Giants. He did work for the Giants, but he's still connected even to another organization, and so.
And it doesn't matter.
They're able to tell him, man, we're going to hire one of your former guys. So, and I feel like this happens all the time with the coach. It doesn't matter if you're Bill Belichick. They come to you and they tell you, hey, like I bet that Dan Quinn knew that Shanahan was going to get, and it's a totally different situation because he was his assistant too. at the time, he actually was working for him. But I guarantee you that Dan Quinn was in on this conversation with John Lynch or whoever owns the 49ers. Like, I know that he knew that already.
Well, and here's the thing, though. With the Belichick thing, even if he's not connected to the organization, you know that he's getting the calls to vet his guys because it's just like a reference.
Tell me about him. Yes, exactly. It's a reference.
And Flores, for one, again, he came to the organization 0405, if my memory serves me correctly. But bigger than that, he was Bill's DC. His big assistant job before he got a head coaching job was to be Bill's DC. And if you know anything about the Patriots, you know that Bill still runs that defense, you know. So you know they had a great relationship. They were hand in hand. So Bill saw that text thread. He ain't out here deleting text from B-Flow. You know what I'm saying? He might be deleting some text from some other people, but he's not deleting text from B-Flow. So I find it hard to believe that he sent that text just not knowing who he was talking to. But, I mean, I'm just a talking head here.
Yeah, no, bro. I mean, bro, if you had put a gun in my head and said, did Bill Belichick do that shit on purpose? I would say absolutely he did that shit on purpose. But the thing is, I want to give Bill Belichick his plausible deniability because I feel like he deserves not plausible deniability. He really did the right thing. You know what I mean? So
absolutely, JP. And you know what? You can take this back to the locker room as we end this conversation. Everybody want to have a private opinion, but don't want to come on the podcast. So fuck them. Hey man, thanks for calling back, Doc. We'll be in the group text a little bit later. All right, Doc. So do you think like the owners call their group text like the owner suite or something?
I bet they do. I don't know if they have a name for it, but they actually do probably have a name for it. But it's like a slick, like ours is like listed. They have like code name, like that shit could be pancakes for all I fucking know. Well, because they gotta, look, these are billionaires, wives, mistresses. Nobody needs to know these is my billionaire friend group.
That's a nasty group text.
And we talk about things, whether it be like, hey, man, I didn't like that shit you did. Did you really pay the ref to make that call? Like, it could be something as simple as that. Maybe Jerry's like to the 49ers owner, he's like, that was bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Right? That ref, that was done on purpose, right? It could be some shit like that. And look, they're all so rich to the point at where there is still competitiveness amongst them. Did you watch what's the fucking Korean thing on Netflix?
Squid Games?
Did you watch that?
No.
Okay. I don't want to give a spoiler, but spoiler alert.
I'm not going to watch it.
Okay. But in general, even for someone listening that if maybe they didn't see it, but the point is, even in that game, at the end of the game, one of the final two episodes, basically you had these people that were known to the players as almost the investors, the people that had the money for the people to win, because they're all in such financial hardship. You had these people come in, majority white men, came in, they're wearing masks themselves, so you don't even know who they are. And basically, these guys are betting on it. They're talking about it together. They're betting on it against each other. Now, this is a game that they all funded. They're betting against each other, and they're talking about who they think is going to win. Now that we're down to this part of it, who's going to win it?
So the NFL is Squid Games is what you're telling me.
There's a little bit of something that, you could deduce that for sure. Maybe like we don't know. I don't know. We're just talking about group text, and I know that they probably have one, and maybe they talk about this. Like these guys are all going to see each other in LA next week. So, and a majority of them, they probably love it because a lot of them live there.
Yeah.
Even if their team is in, I mean, come on. The owner of the Bengals, Paul Brown, yeah, he owns the Bengals. He got a spot in LA, man. Come on.
Do you think he's in the in crowd though? Do you think he gets invited to Bob Kraft and Jerry Jones?
Some of them, like think about Shad Khan.
Shit. No, he's throwing the party this time. He won the game.
Khan or Kroenke? What you saying, Kroenke?
Kroenke and Brown are throwing parties all week. I'm going to Kroenke's party though. I'm not going to.
Yeah,
I'm not
come
going
on, Cronky, LA dude. That's why he's like, "Nah, we got to get them out of St. Louis." He's like, "Look, I don't give a fuck about the barbecue out here. All right, this shit ghetto. Let's get to LA."
Pretty much. So look, man, we're at almost 2 hours.
We are.
Yeah, let's just say goodbye, Tom Brady, and we'll preview the Super Bowl next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were gonna wait for that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow's that guy. Ha, Patrick Mahomes. Y'all just wanted to crown him. You can crown him. Denny Green voice. But yeah, man, Tom Brady. I mean, the best. I feel like he's the best athlete, the most accomplished athlete.
There we go. I like that a lot better than best. Yeah,
he's the most accomplished athlete that people of our age were really able to resonate with beginning to end. I feel like I watched his entire career, and although I didn't understand it in 2001, I still remember watching that Super Bowl, and we got to see it, ups, downs, great, good, thought he was cooked. I went on record to say he was cooked, and I was absolutely wrong. And, it's all good. I saw Tom Brady was one of my favorite football players until 28-3 happened. Then I said, fuck him, because back to what you talked about earlier, when you like a team, you care about a team, you live and die by the team. And once he did that to us, it's fuck you forever. It's kind of like Gucci and Jeezy. Like once you send Pookie to the house, I can diss you and Pookie whenever I want to.
That Pookie pack.
Right, like, you know what I'm saying? He's still saying he getting his house haunted by the ghost of Pookie. You know what I'm saying? And he can still say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it don't have to be no
Julian Turner.
Hot Juice calling in. Hey, Jew, what's up, man?
What's going on, man?
And you're live on the pod. We're getting ready to close out by saying nice things about Tom Brady, but then, you call, so it's like, oh, shit, man, we got to answer.
Well, I tell you what, better yet, Judy, you have something great to say about Tom Brady. I know that he denied your team plenty of entrances to the.
Well,
I know the Jaguars did too, but, I know that Tom did.
Hey, man, if you're going to have a guest on your show, you should probably let them talk. What I will say is that he had an excellent football career. He was one of the Steelers' greatest rivals because it's actually a rivalry. We actually competed against each other. And unfortunately, it went more in Tom Brady's favor, but hey, that's football. I do, however, think that he was a cheating son of a bitch. I think New England was a system, and he thrived there because they had a lot of cheating going on.
He won a Super Bowl without them.
And he did. I didn't say he was out talent. Okay. But the history books will go down. He'll be the greatest quarterback of all time. Not the best, but the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, hell, last time I checked, he's in the Guinness Book World Records for a lot of things. Most Super Bowls, leading number one in almost every category. The greatest comeback in the Super Bowl era. I mean, he's cemented.
These are all facts.
All facts, non-negotiable, man. So just real quick, give us your B-Flow talk, man.
Brian Flores, I feel for the guy, but I think he's brave that he's highlighting the mixed practices of hiring of black coaches on all levels. I'm not about to say minorities. I'm going to say specifically black coaches. I think that people are trying to give Bill Belichick too much credit in this as well too. I think Bill Belichick made a mistake and text a guy on his phone named Brian and thought he was talking to the white guy, but instead happened to be the black guy. I think he owned up to the mistake. And unfortunately, he's called as collateral damage. But I think this change is necessary. I feel like Brian Flores probably will never see another NFL field again as a head coach. But what I'm hoping for is with his leverage that he's going to have now, because if that class action suit actually wins, he's going to be, he's going to go down the history for it. And I think that he's actually setting himself up to probably be the first black owner of a team, to be honest.
Expand on that one, please.
I think that, with this class action suit, I think that he probably won't have the money himself, but with enough partners and people to sponsor the team, they will just name him the chair or the head of the team, because they know what he stands for, his values. He's not going to have any type of hiring discriminatory practices. So I think Brian Flores may have lost the battle today, but I think at the end of the day, he's going to win the war.
You know, that I like how you put that together, and I'm inclined to believe that you are Stephen Smith of ESPN's ghostwriter.
It sounds like it to me.
I mean, I like it, and if there's enough money that comes in from that, like it's not the most unreasonable thing I've heard today. But shit, the owner still got to vote to let you in, and I don't know if they're gonna. Yeah, don't trust that new nigga over there.
Well, he don't got the credit, and if anything, go ahead,
Drew.
But I agree, but I feel like it's gonna get to the point where, like, you know what, they're gonna be saying, well, one nigger can't hurt. Yeah, well, yeah, we'll give them Dan's old team. What do they call it? The Comrades?
The Commanders?
Yeah, because Dan Schneider, he's not gonna be an owner too much longer. He's gonna be forced to sit down.
He wouldn't. He should get voted out similarly how Sterling got voted out from the Clippers, right?
Yeah, I think he's gonna end up getting voted out. So I think that they're gonna leave room for just one, but not one is too many in their book. But I think that if this goes down in his favor and it all comes to light that this is actually true, especially I mean, there's with you have me showing up to the interview that that I wasn't going to get just to appease the Rooney Rule. I think that teams are going to look at that, or organizations are going to look at that. We want that type of character. Now behind closed doors, they're going to call him a nigger, but in public they're going to shake his hand and say he's the right man for the job.
Or during the interview, if you're drunk enough, you might call him Ryan instead of Brian.
Myron. Myron? You sure your name's not Myron?
Okay. Here goes. You're black, but your last name is Flores. Is your daddy Mexican?
Yeah. So how does all that work? So he was there. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, you're a great story.
Nah, man, I think it's interesting, and I'm just looking forward to what all is going to happen. And even if there's no change that's going to happen, maybe we finally get that NFL boycott that everybody's been asking for. But maybe.
Hey, let's make hold on. His credit for spearheading it.
Nah, fuck Chris Bosh and what he said. Chris Broussard. He was on national TV talking about maybe the players don't play or the coaches they don't coach. And I go, bruh, the players wouldn't even buy into the CBA. Like most of them niggas didn't even read into that
incoming talent. I'm not to cut you off, but what about the incoming talent? What about the rookies that haven't fucked? I mean, now I know we got the NIL, but what about the guys still that haven't been paid?
Yeah, nigga, I need my coins.
They're like, no, I'm trying to play.
Well, I think the best thing you can do is go off examples from the past, and I think someone like Colin Kaepernick, who we can all agree was blackballed, regardless if you think if he was talented enough to be a starting quarterback or enough, we can all agree that he still had enough in him to make a roster. And we saw that when an actual injustice or practice was brought forth, and they saw that one of their own quote unquote brothers, because the NFL is a fraternity and you got to protect the shield, one of their brothers are being blackballed and was being ostracized. What did the black players do? They chose their fame, their fortune, and their wealth over what's doing what's right. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And it's going to take people with real money and real power who are going to say, hey, you know what? Hey, rookie, who's on that deal for only $500,000, or that vet who needs some money or whatever, we make enough money to where we're not going to fully finance you, but we can collectively make sure that everybody stays afloat.
Where's Jay-Z at in all of this?
Oh, Jay-Z's coordinating the halftime show, because that's how you bring change. To have niggas dancing and tapping their knee. Man,
hey.
Don't get me started. Jay-Z's the biggest piece of shit sham that I've ever seen sit in a boardroom. He sits here and he talks about this black this, this black that, but the best thing that he can do is
give us a goddamn show. If Jay-Z wanted to create change, Jay-Z could be a goddamn NFL owner himself. But instead, you know what they did? They gave him a seat at the table all the way at the end with the iPod and said, "Hey, make a playlist for us."
Look, and that's a great way to kind of end that. But like at the end of the day, look, Jay's involved, right? And in that kind of what we want, somebody that at least
it's not. No, it's not what we want. We involvement. We wanted someone who was actually going to be in these board meetings, in these rooms where actual key decisions are being made. Not, all right, Mary J. Blige is going to perform before Dr. Dre, and okay, let's play California Love first. That's not involvement. That's a dog and pony show.
And you're totally right, dude. And this is something that we did touch on when it came into it. And I told him, I said, really, the Brian Flores thing, fuck the coaches and the GM. Let's talk about the ownership, because there's not very many. I can only name one in the 4 major sports. Michael Jordan is the only black owner, majority owner of any sports team in America. Name the others.
And you can't, but what I will give credit to the NBA, though, is because the NBA realizes that the black players are their product, and that's where they make their profit from. So they realize that, hey, listen, we can sacrifice millions to still make billions. And, and for some odd reason, the NFL has, which is weird because on Sundays during the NFL season, the NFL is king. So maybe they feel like, it's a money grab. We only have this short window, 16 weeks to grab all the money we can, so we can't lose anything. But if the owners stop being so damn stingy and stringent and being just old white fucks, who are stingy with their money, and just realize, okay, maybe we can give a little to get a lot more, maybe we won't be having these problems.
The NFL is the only commodity that I know of in the world that owns a day out of the week. They own Sunday during a certain.
It's the best TV show in history.
I, as a person that has been a season ticket holder and going to football games my entire life, can tell you, I liked avoiding church to go to football games, and so certainly they know how big this is. This is a big fucking deal. It's the most watched event on TV. Typically, even during the regular season, those games get more viewers than anything on TV. And obviously, the Super Bowl is the most watched thing every year. And, that's why you got
Fox did almost 50 mil on the NFC Championship.
Who?
Yeah, but
Fox did like 50 mil on the NFC Championship.
But here's what you just said, though. You just said that, basically football for some people is holds higher weight than religion.
It does.
On Sundays.
It does.
So what that means is how are you going to get not only a players, but more importantly the consumer who has made up in their mind or is accustomed to having something so valuable in their life without it because they want to make a stand. I just don't see that happening.
I don't either.
It's not gonna happen. Hey, quick stat for y'all. The AFC and NFC championship games average 49.6 million viewers and nearly 100 million unique viewers tuned in. Come on, man.
And this is us. Maybe NBC's biggest show probably got 4.8 million people to tune in. It's always a money call. We know that money. We live in a capitalistic society in America, at least. And so it's always going to be that way. And they're going to do what's best for them. They're going to do what's best for the TV companies that pay them. Clorox gives them money too. Like, they're going to do what's in the best interest of them. Because, like I said, when it came to even the boycotting with Kaepernick, I said, if you're boycotting the NFL and you don't want to watch it, then you don't need to fuck with the products that support it. If Coors is the official beer, then you probably don't fucking need to drink Coors if you're not watching the NFL, because guess what? They give them money too. And so it's really no way to win in a weird way, in a sense of there is a way of winning, but in terms of right now and the way that it's set up, they've set it up to where you can't win. There is no winning. There are such a power, whether it's out in Vegas with the money and betting on it, whether it's fantasy football, it doesn't really matter. These people are in control, and they're all billionaires, and they all own something as well. And you gotta, like, if you boycotted the NFL, then you fucking boycott Home Depot because Arthur Blank's name is all over it. Like, you can't go to Home Depot to buy your home. If you're really gonna boycott them,
go to Lowe's.
And who knows? There might be somebody there that has money in that too. Like, we don't even know. So it's just like, it's hard to do something like that because they've kind of got us by the purse strings.
Hey, y'all, look, this has been great. We're about to hit the 2-hour mark, though. So, hey, Jude, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate it, dog. Gave some great insights, some great clips for the gram that I may cut up at some point this weekend.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
All right, dog.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to close this one out. You know what? Fuck Brady. We can talk about him next week or later in the season. Who cares, man?
Yeah, great show, though. This is
it
really has.
Yeah, and fuck Josh.
Yeah, for not calling back and still Instagramming.
Yeah, fuck Boink too. He didn't answer. He didn't give an explanation. But it's okay.
That's that will always be a good answer because there's nothing we can really say. It's like, okay, well, if the wife, you know.
Yeah, he can always blame it on Zoe, and we like Zoe, so we can't even like get mad about it. Like,
right. Exactly. You get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get it. Speaking of me getting it, I need to get off so I can get it before I get in trouble.
There we go. I got to call my daughter.
All right, dog.
Okay. All right, Lee. Yeah, fantastic show. We'll be back next week.
All right, man.
Okay. All right.